Hello, my name is Cody Fleet, and this is Heather Tomlinson.
We are doing our presentation on whether or not medication should be given to patients with life-threatening diseases before going through a clinical trial first.
So first, clinical trials are studies in which people volunteer to test new drugs or devices. They are used when new drugs need to be tested in order to determine if they show signs of safety and efficacy.
According to the American Cancer Society, there are 5 phases of clinical trials. It starts with phase 0 and goes through phase 4. Phase 0 is whether or not the drug will work. In this phase, it's just cells and animals that are being tested on. There's no humans in this phase of the trial. If there's no lethal effects to the cells or animals, they move on to phase 1, which is to see if the treatment's safe. And this is usually from 100 to 300 participants in this phase. And if the treatment is determined to be safe and not harmful, then they move on to phase 2, where the amount of participants doubles. And this is to see if the treatment will work. And if the treatment works and seems to be helping, then they move on to the next phase, which is to see if the drug is better than what's already available. And again, with this phase, the participants double. And if the drug is better than what's out there, they move on, but if it's not, then the clinical trials stop. And if it moves on, it moves to phase 5, which is the real-life situation, meaning that this is where physicians are actually writing out prescriptions and giving these to patients. And this is the phase with the most participants.
So in this presentation, our argument consists of a few basic points. The first one being dosage, which is just how much of a drug we should give in order to treat any potential diseases that it's supposed to cure. The other one is side effects. And side effects are just adverse effects that can arise when a drug is given to a patient. Effectiveness is another point, which just means if the drug works or if it doesn't work. Time, that's how long it takes for the drugs to be made available to a patient. And then we'll also be talking about patient rights.
So our first point is dosage. When there's a clinical trial in place, we know the right amount of dosage to give a patient so that it will be beneficial and help them. But if there's not a clinical trial, we don't know the amount of dosage, meaning if we give them too little, it's going to have no effect, and if we give them too much, it could be fatal to them or be very harmful. And if they have a life-threatening disease already, they're going through enough, and they probably don't want to end their life sooner than what the disease is going to do to them. So it would be a really big risk to take it without knowing the exact dosage that you need.
If drugs are given to patients where the drugs haven't gone through clinical trials, you can't determine the exact dosage that you need to give the patient, but this isn't always a huge issue. Doctors can work around this by approximating a dosage. They do this by starting patients out on a very low dose of the drug and sequentially work their way up until they get to a higher dosage. They do this until some side effects start to present themselves, at which point they lower the dosage back down to what it was before any side effects appeared, and they're able to get a rough approximation of what dosage would be for the drug.
And then there's side effects. If we do not have a clinical trial, we don't know the side effects, which there can be a lot of side effects, but with the clinical trial in place, we know every side effect, or at least the majority of them, and in that case, we know how to treat them and how to be ready if they would happen to a patient. And then we can also tell a patient about the possible side effects so they can be watching for them as well, where without the clinical trial, they don't know what to watch for, what to expect, and if something would happen, we may not be prepared to treat that and take care of that for the patient.
So again, if clinical trials are skipped, then we won't be able to determine all of the side effects that could arise from a medicine, but this isn't a huge issue. Patients that are taking these drugs are doing so because they're completely out of options and they've been diagnosed as terminal. So any adverse effects, such as a rash or abdominal pain, would easily be mitigated by the fact that this drug could potentially be saving their life.
However, sometimes there are side effects that could be just as deadly as their condition and cause a lot more harmful effects, which is why it would be really risky to go through with it without having a clinical trial in place. Effectiveness, without the clinical trial, we are not even sure if the drug will even work. So we're giving false hope to a patient who who is dying and you're getting their hopes up for something that might not even happen, where at least with the clinical trial we can tell them that it's worked in a majority of patients, although it doesn't always work for everyone. We have statistics to back up the fact that it works for most people so that they have a little more hope going into taking the medication.
When looking at the effectiveness of a drug, it's important to note that a drug's going to work just as well on day 1 of clinical trials as it's going to work just as well on the last day of clinical trials as it did on day 1. By this I mean clinical trials don't make a drug work differently, they just help to narrow down the proper dosage and any side effects to make it work more efficiently for the patient. But a drug that hasn't gone through clinical trials has just as much life-saving potential as a drug that has gone through clinical trials.
Okay, this chart here shows the time. The first 3 boxes here are the pre-clinical trial phases, which is like the testing of the cells in the animals. And then the next 3 green boxes are phase 1, 2, and 3, and the blue and purple is phase 4, which is the final phase. All the components are started out like that, and in the end, by the time you get down to phase 4, you have one component that's been approved by the FDA, which is the Food and Drug Administration, and a drug needs to be approved by them before it can go out for patients to take. So, although it does take time, which it takes around 6 to 15 years sometimes for clinical trials, it's worth it because all those components started, and in the end, there's only one that actually works. So, you're wasting your time with all those when if you wait, you'll get the one that you know is going to work compared to all the ones that aren't going to work for you.
So obviously clinical trials do take a long time. As Heather pointed out, they take 6 to 15 years to complete. During this time, there are thousands of patients that could definitely benefit from taking a drug that's on clinical trials, and there are thousands more that will die because they don't have access to this drug. If patients are allowed to skip clinical trials, then the drugs that are on clinical trials could potentially cure their disease, improving their quality of life, and potentially saving their life.
Okay, we have to consider patients' rights, so it might not be considered ethical to most people to give a drug to a patient without a clinical trial because it's very risky because you have the side effects, you don't know if it's going to work. So at least when we have a clinical trial in place, when we're giving the patient a drug, we can tell them all this stuff and they know what they're getting into with side effects, effectiveness. They know if it's going to work. They know what to expect from the drug. So we cover all our bases when we're giving it to them.
When looking at patient rights, you have to consider constitutional rights that are given to patients. As Carol points out, patients have the right to make these types of risky decisions with their physicians. So if we don't allow them to take drugs that haven't gone through clinical trials when they're completely out of options and are diagnosed as being terminal, then we are basically mitigating their constitutional rights, which is not ethical to do.
So in conclusion, I think clinical trials should be in place because if not, it's too risky and it can be more harmful to a patient who's already has a life-threatening disease when they are better off waiting for the clinical trial to take place and then taking a drug that will help them instead of going through all the risks. And it'd just be worse for them to do that than to wait for the clinical trial.
And then for my conclusion, first off, I'm right. Second, clinical trials are great at determining proper dosage and side effects of drugs, but we don't necessarily need to know the exact dosage or all of the side effects that could arise from a drug, especially if the patient is diagnosed as terminal and is completely out of options. This is a much quicker process. As we mentioned earlier, clinical trials can take anywhere from 6 to 15 years to complete, and skipping this will allow patients to potentially continue living their life. And we also have to look at constitutional rights of the patient because they do have the right to take these drugs if it's okay with their physician.
And then these are all references that we used.